Good evening and welcome to the newest episode of A Word with Joy. This is Joy Bennett, your producer and host. We are absolutely thrilled to have a special guest with us today, Debra Le Liso. Debra is a working actress, producer, writer, director, professor. She's got all kinds of credits under her belt here. She has won many awards, and we're absolutely thrilled to have her here in our virtual studio. We can now do remote tapings, so this is the first time we've done a remote taping. And Debra, welcome.
Thank you, Joy. I'm honored to be here, actually, and I appreciate the message of your podcast, which is to spread the joy. My license plate on my old car was "Joy to the World."
I love that.
I just want people to see that on the freeway and go, "Oh, that's right. We all deserve that, and we can share it."
I like it. Thank you so much. So today we want to focus on her new project, Small Town, which is a new independent film that she is written, directing, and starring in. And she's just thrilled that. And it's very much an independent film project that she's developed. So tell us a little bit about your project and what your hopes for it, and basically an elongated elevator pitch.
You got it. Well, the reason that I'm here today is because your listeners can actually be involved in the project, because it's an indie film and we want volunteers. We want people to, if they can contribute even just a little bit of money, that's fabulous. But more importantly, the message of the film is that haters can actually get along. And the film is called Small Town for now, but it takes place in the late 60s in a small desert town, Madame Wu's Cantina, with strippers and barflies on one side of the highway and the highway church people on the other side. And they're haters. They do not get along. They do not listen to each other. But through a beautiful, wacky, wonderful turn of events, they end up doing a talent show, a community talent show together, and find that, like the great Maya Angelou said, we are more alike, my friends, than we are not alike. So that was my impetus for the message of the film, and I started writing it for my acting students. I had a little acting company, Walk a Mile Works. Walk a mile is based on the Native American saying, walk a mile in my shoes, walk a mile to get to learn who I am. And I wrote parts for actors that were studying with me, and it became a town. I didn't start off writing a screenplay, but it became a town. And then we figured out the conflict was the highway church people across the street really felt like they were morally superior to the barflies. And it worked out in my head that it was an all-white church back in the late 60s. And the cantina across the street was full of color, full of, open arms, be who you are here in this cantina. And because I'm also playing the role of Lorraine, an aging alcoholic stripper, I have a dance background and I'm a choreographer, dancer, ex-gymnast, and 68 years old. All right, this may be my farewell to dance moment, but it's also kind of like my Rocky, where I know that this story, that if people come into the movie theater and they're pissed off the world, and aren't we all so frustrated with the world right now, that if they watch this little indie comedy, I call it an inspirational comedy, that they may just open their hearts and have a conversation with someone that they don't normally get along with and see the bonds that might be there. So my characters are wonderful. I have I have people with disabilities in the cantina, and people from all parts of the world and different ages. And I'm starting to gather some named talent. I can't say out loud yet because I don't have the contract signed, but I'm I'm pulling in all the favors, and I've got a lot of favors out there because I've literally directed over 700 original one-person plays,
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
it's so amazing because I
And this
can't.
is not going to be in any sense responsible. I'm 69. We have a long way to go. So you look great, so just don't even think that way. It's like,
Thank you
it's
so
your
much.
current project.
Well, I loved your website and how you quoted Einstein and said it's just like a bike. We got to keep moving forward to stay
Exactly.
balanced, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And one way I think about it is, all this creative stuff, writing, dancing, whatever it is, it's an act of faith. It is an act of faith that it will find the audience, it will find the means or whatever. But then I was thinking, well, you can drive a car. You've been driving since you were 16, 15 and a half. You get in the car, you don't even think about it, you just do it. Same thing with the podcast or the writing or the whatever else you want to do, baking cookies. You just get in there and do it.
I
Maybe you
love
make a mistake. Who cares? Maybe you'll back into a fire plug. Who cares? You're going to be fine. You can't overthink it. And I have a feeling you don't. I do sometimes. Anyway, what is the schedule? I know you're on a very tight schedule for your current fundraising right now. So
Yes.
Let's talk about the crowdfunding thing, which I think is just ingenious to get people involved on any level from $5 to $5,000.
That's
You can get
exactly
involved.
right.
And I think that's great. So tell us more about that.
Well, thank you. Well, right now we have a matching grant from an anonymous donor. I want to say their name, but they won't. They're just modest. But from now until the end of August, we have a $5,000 matching grant. So if you put in $5, or if you put in $100, or if you put in $1,000, it's going to be matched by this donor who really believes in the project and the timing of the project. All right. So I wanted to say we have some special perks as well. So if people go to my website, actually the movie's website, which is www.smalltownmovie-com.
I thought it was smalltown-movie.com.
Smalltown
movie.com.
That's it. Did I say it wrong?
Movie.com. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joy. Thank you.
Because I've looked at it.
We want to send them to the right place.
Yeah.
So there you'll see the different perks. But one that I wanted to talk about is that, with an indie film, you can actually get your name on the film. You can actually have a credit as having been a contributor. And a lot of people just really love movies. I know I do. And
what's the minimum? Suppose you gave $100. What's the minimum to have your name?
We're going to give any contributor credit, I would say from $25 up. But if they contribute more than $100, they're going to be listed in the credits as an angel contributor.
Oh, great.
An angel contributor. And the other thing is there's perks. So you're not going to just be contributing. If you look on the website, the perk that I'd like to push is I have taken my solo performance class that I've developed over 20 years, literally over 20 years, and put it online. And I normally charge close to $300 for it. If someone contributes $100, they get the class. They get to sign up, and it's like 12 sessions over 20 videos on how to write your own one-person play.
That's amazing. And this is a woman that's teaching at USC. So you're getting the good stuff.
Thank you. I also teach at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. And that is, both of them are extraordinary universities. And I have many students that have gone on to do great works and traveled the world. Some of my students have taken their plays to New Zealand, to Germany, the Edinburgh Festival, etc.
Oh, that's great.
So this is a way to begin. If any of you think, I have a story, but maybe you don't have the time to schedule it. For $100, you can go on and have your own time frame to develop this play. And we also have fun perks, of course, like the mugs. We have great T-shirts and mugs. And fishnets even. So we're selling things that also really are the fun part of the film.
Because filmmaking is expensive. It really
Whoosh.
is. I mean, you can do some things like I've heard of people filming on the iPhone and things like, but it's still expensive. I don't care what level you're at. It's just, and I know as the driving force behind the film, a lot of it comes out of your own pocket. I know that.
Yes, thank you. It just
So, you know, just to hats off to you, Deborah, for having the wherewithal and the drive. And this is a long-term project. And the first feature film is a formidable assignment. So good luck to you, and I'm all with you. To get more background about Debra, her incredible background, it's DebraDeLiso.com. That's her main website. The Small Town Movie website is smalltown-movie.com, which has all the details, all the scoop. And she's just also done some wonderful things with the community. People in prison, artists with disabilities, girls with medical issues. She won the 2014 Rainbow Award from the LA Women's Theater Festival for her decades of work bringing theater to multicultural and diverse communities. She's done so much for so many, and it's really a great project. I'm totally so excited for you. What can you tell us a little bit about your work with the? She was in the Blizzard video game StarCraft Brood War.
Yeah.
Tell me the name of your role, because I'm afraid to pronounce it.
So this was really fun. And by the way, Joy, you and I both are graduates from UCLA, and that helped me get one of my first gigs. I was called by a person who was a stage manager of a play that I played 5 characters. And she said, Debra Le Liso can do many voices. And so Chris Maston, who had just like a little warehouse unit down, in Irvine before Blizzard became huge, and a phone call helped me get the role, because he said, I'd like you to play Rajagal, the matriarch of the planet Protoss. And she's not British, and she's not American. And I said, oh, well, maybe it's a Mid-Atlantic Standard. And he said, what does that sound like? And I said, well, it's not proper British. It's not like standard British, and it's not flat American. It's somewhere in the middle. It's about right here. And he said, that's it.
Perfect.
So my UCLA training helped me. And I also played the Valkyrie pilot and had fun with those little bombs away, etc. So the voiceover, that's what I'm probably the most known for, is my work on StarCraft. Mm-hmm. But I've also been in some low budget horror films that I got paid $40 a day for back in the day before I was a union actor. And now going to the horror conventions, I can make like $1,000 in 2 days. Wow. I don't get invited all that much. Otherwise, I would fund this whole movie myself. But I have fans from roles that I've done 40 years ago.
She was in the Slumber Party Massacre.
Yes.
As one of the Scream Queens. Yeah, that's a 1982 cult classic. And she's done all kinds of things. Just an amazing background. So you're doing this work on the film while you're on a break from teaching at USC, right? So you start up again.
Pre-production, but I do go back to teach. Yes, I'm in pre-production now, but we're going to start filming probably in September, and I will be teaching 2 days a week. So we're going to have to work. We're going to work around the director's schedule. You know what I'm saying? But I got to pay my bills, right? So there you go. But a fun thing about casting, some of my Scream Queen girlfriends are going to be playing the church people.
Oh, that's great.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. Super. Well, what about your schedule for shooting? I mean, I know it's hard to tell right now. Is it 5 weeks, 2 months? What's the rough ballpark?
I think we can shoot the film in 15 days. And I am so delighted to tell you that I finally have been looking for over a year for Madame Wu's Cantina. But even just to rent like a dive bar these days, they want to charge you like $150 an hour. And most of the filming will be in this Madame Wu's Cantina, but I live over in East LA, and in El Sereno, in a little, in like an industrial street, there's a place called the Ariel House, and it is a big old 1920s brick building, and there is so much possibility. And I went in there, I knew the owner, and I, basically did my pitch, and I'm getting it for a great price. So we have to dress it out, which will be a blast, right? To make like late 1960s desert bar cantina. And I've been collecting stuff. Now, this is also where your listeners might be able to help, because we are, if you go to the movie website, we're looking for 1960s props, etc., but especially cars. Yeah. We need the piano player's old truck. And we need these two hustlers come into town, try to hustle the women, and of course get hustled by the women. But the hustlers need like an old Pontiac GTO or some kind of muscle car that's probably beat up. So if any of your listeners have cars from the 60s or earlier, we need them.
Yeah, that's fascinating. How big is your crew? I mean, I know you have yourself, you're doing a lot of the roles yourself. So roughly, is it a huge crew and cast? Or is
it's a small crew, but I have 9 principal cast members. And then with additional smaller roles, 23. But then there's a really fun scene toward the end with a group of hallucinating hippies. I have to see the movie to see how they come to the cantina. But ultimately, over 30 people. That's a lot.
That's a lot to juggle, as well as teaching and directing, writing, and starring. I don't know how you do it. I really don't. So anything else you'd like to add that comes to mind that I haven't spoken of?
I think just that, going back to my work with women in prison, I got a California Arts grant for 3 years in a row because I was, a friend of mine kept saying, what you do can serve these women that are behind bars. And I was kind of skeptical and scared, but then I took the leap and signed up. And in my first class, which my first assignment was to share a moment of a family member, of yourself and a family member, because I wrote my first play about my mom, who was a nurse, mother of 3, super mom, boom. Then she had a massive stroke at the age of 38. So I was only 5, and I was raised by her, and she taught me a lot. Right.
Yeah.
So one by one, my 15 inmate students shared a moment of being with a family member. And by the end of that first ice-breaking exercise, tears, open hearts. And I thought, oh, God, did I make a mistake and ask them to be with a family member that they can't be with because they're behind bars? And I asked them what that was like. And I realized that their imagination allowed them to visit with family members.
That's cool. Are you the youngest in your family, or the oldest?
I'm the youngest of 3 girls.
Youngest of 3. Okay. That's an amazing life you've had. I'm sure we could go on all day to talk to this fascinating woman. Once again, we've been speaking with Debra Le Liso. You can go to smalltown-movie.com to find out all about her latest project, to volunteer, to pitch in, just to find out all you want about it, just to sign up for the newsletter. Her website, again, is debradeliso.com. This is Joy Bennett, your producer and host. I've got a website, joybennett.com, and we can also have a website just for the podcast, awordwithjoy.com. And I'm just thrilled we now have a remote taping platform. I didn't used to have remote capabilities, so we are now going to have more frequent episodes with people all over the world have contacted me that wanted to become involved in the podcast. So I'm very, very grateful about that. Once again, thank you, Debra.
Oh,
Keeps buckets of luck and good fortune and just good results. And I'm sure you'll have it in spades for your project because it comes from the heart, and I can tell that. And thank you so much for listening. Any questions, you can get a hold of me through the website. And thank you once again, Debra Le Liso.
Thank you, Joy. You do really important work. Thank you.
Thank you.